Hey guys, welcome back for another episode. What we are going to do here is a good old cheap PC case swap. So, what we have here on the left is the Optiplex, the Dell Optiplex 7020, I believe, that we had taken out of a small form factor computer and transferred it over to this super old free Acer case that we had gotten offline. And as you can see by the jumble of wires and the mess, I had to cut out a decent amount of the case in order to make everything fit. So what I got here is a Dell Inspiron case, and as well as the Dell Inspiron motherboard that I had gotten from a buddy of mine. So what we're going to try to do is swap the CPU, the i5 that's in that Optiplex 7020. We're going to try to swap it onto this motherboard here and then stick it back in this case. And the reason we're going to try to make this motherboard work is so that we can use the front I/O on this case over here. You know, all the USBs and potentially even the disk drive. That's intrigues me. I want to be able to, watch DVDs and stuff like that. So we're going to try to swap this over. The graphics card, if everything works and the CPU transfers over without any issues, the graphics card is going to be really tight between this hard drive cage here. I think there was like maybe a quarter of an inch to an eighth of an inch worth of space there. So hopefully we can get stuff transferred over without having to cut the case up. But for me, looking at it visually, it's a little bit bigger. So we'll start prepping this case, get it flipped over, and get the tools that we need to try to transfer the CPU over. All right. So I had put some new thermal paste on this when I got this, or when I transferred everything over on this computer. Not sure where that thermal paste went, so hopefully we can, reuse what we got in order to transfer it over. If not, we'll buy some more and wait for it to come in and take the cooler off and redo the paste. So it looks like these fans are both the same, which would be good. Have an extra one. The other reason we're really wanting to swap the cases around is to get a fan case, that's actually, instead of hot wiring it like I have here and it just running full bore. Hopefully the other case, yeah, there's still some pretty decent thermal paste on there. I think we can spread that back around. It just runs full bore, so hopefully we can get some case fans that are actually meant to be there. All right. So what you do is you just pop this little arm out, and it undoes the pressure there. So now before I just go ahead and pop this out, I'm going to disassemble this other board here as well. So we'll try to slide everything out of the way real quick. Setup that I'm running here on this computer is the i5 that came with the Dell Optiplex, and then I went ahead and I bought a RX 580 8GB card off of eBay. I want to say a little over half a year ago. I think I paid about 120 bucks for that at that point in time, and I'm able to run pretty much most of the newer titles. Warzone and Modern Warfare is what I've been playing lately, but I really haven't had any issues running any games in particular. So pretty happy with the setup. Eventually we'll there's considerably less thermal paste on this cooler, so what we'll do is we'll use this cooler right here, the one that came with it. As long as the chipset is the same, it looks very similar let's go ahead and get that popped up. And then try to change the angle here for you. Get you a little better angle. I'm gonna just carefully pop this off and make sure that we have identified the correct orientation for the CPU. So those look very similar, like I was saying. So this one has a different style arrow than this one, apparently. But let's see what we got. Cool. There is these little notches on there that kind of make sure your orientation is correct. But it seems like it's seated correctly. Let's put some pressure down on there. Well, that's perfect. So it looks like this is potentially going to work out. So, you know, this board right here has a little bit more, you know, functions on the back of it, but it looks like this board is a little bit more updated. So. Sorry guys if you've had a bad angle. Pretty new with all this recording and everything, and trying to get my hands on some different camera equipment versus just my phone. I think I'll get better results with longer time lapses and things of that nature. So we'll go ahead and transfer the 8 gig RAM stick. Make sure it wants to go. So all you do here is make sure that these tabs are out. And we're running DDR3 for RAM speed, because that's what came with these Optiplexes. So that one snapped in just fine, didn't have any issues, and we'll grab one of these 4 gig RAM sticks. And I think for the meantime, 12 gigs won't be an issue versus the, let me pull that back. Versus the 16 we were running before. Alright, so you want to press that down till you hear a nice firm click. So let's go ahead and start. And we're going to also transfer over this power supply from this case. We're running a EVGA 600 watt, not bronze rated. I think it's white, but it was, when I bought this hardware, there was a real shortage of power supplies on the market, so I kind of just went with what I could get my hands on. So, all right. Then we got a little tab on this side over here, pull out on, and it just pops right out. So this is a tight fit. We'll have to see if we can kind of spread the case on this. And that's another reason I'm wanting to transfer cases, is because of how tight of a fit this is. Looks like we're kind of caught on the base of the board just a little bit. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So we'll set that to the side. That'll be the last thing we put in with the case. So I went ahead and I have these 90-degree SATA cables here. Go ahead and take the drives out. And hopefully we can hard mount our hard drive there. I was taking it in and out a decent amount because of my internet. I used to have satellite internet, so I would take my hard drive into town to download games onto it. So Fortunately, we were able to find a different solution that doesn't have data caps and lower speeds. Alright, let's go ahead and get this drive out. I have to fandangle this around the fan. There we go. Perfect. You can see what we got there, 250 gigabyte SSD. This is for our operating system, and then this 2 terabyte Seagate hybrid drive is for our games. So it looks like the majority of what we need to do is just kind of disconnect the power supply. I did have to get this 8-pin adapter offline in order to make this motherboard work. With this next motherboard, fortunately we don't need this adapter. I'll still have it on hand just in case I, find the need for it in the future, but for now it'll be nice to get rid of. And then I have the Seagate drive that came with this case right here, but it makes a horrible noise when it's running. It's just terribly loud, so not really worth running. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pop this power supply out. I got them all. I think maybe there's... Oh, there's a little tab inside here that it apparently fits with. Perfect. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is go ahead and remove this power supply. Get some of these cables out of the way here. There you go. So I want to say that this is a 300 watt peak supply unit. So we're definitely going to use the better of the two. Plug the power there for hard drives. Cool. We'll set this with the old case. And then for now, I'm just going to go ahead and remove all the SATA cables. Set them to the side over here. out this hard drive. I can get my fingers to fit in there. What do we got here? 320 gigabyte drive. We'll go ahead and we'll plug that in and see if it's worth keeping for us or not. Probably wouldn't store any important information on there, but it might be good to have as just a backup for videos and such. Alright, cool. So it's looking really good here. Now this case is gonna have great airflow, but I think it'll definitely be better than what we had before. Pop this out. So I think I really I'm gonna put this board in here first, and we'll just see how the graphics card and everything comes together before we put the power supply in.
I'm on my own, broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me.
Longer, so hopefully it'll work as well.
When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere.
Yeah, let's give that a try.
And catch you near in hopes you chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares through. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I
So,
believe
let's go ahead and
home was just you and me.
try to plug everything back together here.
You were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me.
I think for now, I'm just gonna double side tape this somewhere in there. Alright, so what we're gonna do before we worry about getting the hard drive stuck in is we're gonna go ahead and mount in the power supply, just so we can ensure that wherever we put this, or the wherever we put the hard drives, we can still plug everything in easily. All the holes mount up. It is a tight fit, but everything mounts up, so we'll screw it in. So that is mounted in. And wowzers, do we have a sea of cables here. We'll have to start over with these Velcro straps out of here. Try to get everything strung out this way here. Make sure we can get it all nice and organized. There we go. So we got the power adapter here. Go ahead and plug this 24 pin connector in. Oh, there we go. I'm just gonna try to put as much extra wire as I can inside of this open bay. Alright, let's see what else we got here. Let's find the CPU connector. Whoa, lots of messes. Messy here. Alright. PCIe. That'll be for GPU. Let's go ahead and get the CPU connector in. That one in. 6-pin in. Perfect. It doesn't lay perfectly flat, but it is leaps and bounds better than it was before. Actually, I think we'll route this underneath all these other wires. Or at least underneath as many of them as possible here. And that's not gonna look super clean, but I think, you know, after looking at my last PC, any little bit of cable management is a good thing. I think that's a little better. Alright, so now I think we're on to plugging into as much of this as we can here. Alright, let's get these plugged in. So what I'm thinking about doing is potentially mounting the hard drive to the back side of here, since it really doesn't have any, you know, this one, the SSD doesn't have any moving parts, so I figured it'll be a half decent mounting place if we can get everything to fit. Perfect. That'll make it to where everything will fold over and sit real nice in there. Alrighty. Well guys, it's not perfect, but it looks like we got everything in there. So And looks like we all got it, mounted up. Like I said, I got everything, all the excess wire kind of jammed into that tray. Got all the plugins, everything's running. All the data cables are running there underneath the GPU. GPU's plugged in. Audio cable is here in the corner. You can kind of see it right there on the back. So before we go ahead and, well, I'm going to test and make sure the side panel does slot onto here. And then probably what I'll do is I'll take it off and we'll go ahead and kind of hook stuff back up over there and see if it works. Perfect. Slides in there without any resistance. And hopefully that'll be a little quieter as well. So, but for the meantime, let's go ahead and plug this bad boy in and see if it posts. Alright, well here's where we're at. So, I did two things. First, I removed the smaller RAM stick. These two 4 gigs. And I was able to get it to flash 5 orange blinkers on the power button right there. And then so I had some extra batteries laying around, so I removed the graphics card and put a new battery in, and that seems to so far get us where we need to be. Still have the side panel off, just gonna test everything out, but we're gonna make sure that we can log in here and get going. And what we'll do is I'll do some research on this motherboard and see if I can just buy another same RAM stick as what I have and get two 8GB ones in there, so then I can have 16 gigs. But so far so good. All right, guys. Well, that will probably wrap up the case swap. To kind of touch base on why we had done this was, one, to get the disk drive here, which opens. Oh, no disk in there, unfortunately. Oh. And then to get this front I/O. So we're gonna go ahead and test all this out and make sure this stuff works. And then that's gonna be it. If you guys like this sort of content, please give the video a like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you want to see some more stuff like this. Eventually what I would like to do is get a new motherboard, new CPU, and some new RAM to go along with those. But that'll be in a future video. Thanks for tuning in.